Dreams are the blueprint of greatness. They are the invisible architecture of the future, the silent sketches that design the possibilities of our lives. Every building you see, every invention you use, every movement that shaped history, all began as a dream in the mind of someone who dared to imagine something greater than what already existed. Without dreams, progress stalls, growth halts, and life becomes routine without direction. Dreams give us something to reach for, something to ignite our hearts, and something to pull us beyond the ordinary. A dream does not need to be grand in the beginning, but it must be bold enough to inspire you. It must challenge you to rise above your comfort zone and to consider a future larger than your present reality. Think about it, a dream is not just a wish. A wish waits for things to happen, but a dream demands that you step forward and turn vision into action. It is like a blueprint because it provides structure. Just as a builder cannot raise a building without a design, no one can build a meaningful life without a dream. A life without a dream is like a ship without a compass. It drifts aimlessly, going wherever the winds of circumstance push it. The greatness of dreams lies in their ability to give direction. When you know what you are working toward, even the smallest of efforts carries significance. A student who dreams of becoming a doctor finds meaning in the late night study sessions. An artist who dreams of painting something timeless finds energy in every brushstroke. A parent who dreams of raising children with character sees value in every small lesson taught. Dreams are not abstract fantasies. They are the invisible motivators that make ordinary work extraordinary. But the power of dreams is not only in guiding us, it is also in transforming us. The pursuit of a dream changes the dreamer. When you set out toward a great vision, you must grow into the kind of person capable of achieving it. The discipline, patience, persistence, and wisdom you gain along the way are as valuable as the achievement itself. In truth, the dream is not only about what you acquire, it is about who you become. Consider the stories of innovators, leaders, and pioneers throughout history. The Wright brothers dreamed of human flight when others laughed. Their dream was their blueprint, and though their resources were limited, their vision kept them persistent. Nelson Mandela dreamed of a free and equal South Africa, and though he faced decades in prison, his dream was the blueprint that sustained his hope. Every example of greatness is built on the foundation of a dream that was nurtured, protected, and pursued despite obstacles. Yet many people dismiss their dreams too soon. They tell themselves that the vision is too big, the journey too long, or the resources too scarce. But remember, the blueprint does not build the house overnight. It only provides the direction and the plan. The steps to construction are taken one by one, brick by brick. In the same way, your dream does not demand that you finish it today. It only demands that you begin and that you remain faithful to the process. The danger of ignoring dreams is not just missing out on success, it is missing out on purpose. Without a dream, people often live reactive lives, doing what others expect, following routines that do not satisfy, and settling for less than they are capable of. But when you embrace a dream, you step into the creator's role in your own story. You begin to write a future that reflects your deepest values and highest potential. Greatness is never an accident. It is always designed, always built, always shaped by vision. Your dream may not be clear in every detail yet, but the simple act of dreaming opens the door to possibility. And as you refine that dream, protect it from doubt, and work steadily toward it, you create a path that leads not just to achievement, but to significance. So let your dreams be large enough to stretch you, bright enough to inspire you, and clear enough to guide you. Do not shrink them to fit your current resources or circumstances. Instead, let them expand your courage, discipline, and persistence. For just as no great building ever rises without a blueprint, no life of greatness is ever built without a dream. When we talk about dreams, we often paint vivid pictures in our minds of the future we desire. We imagine the life we want to live, the goals we want to accomplish, the relationships we want to nurture, and the impact we want to leave on the world. Dreams are powerful because they give us a reason to rise each morning, and they awaken the spark of possibility within us. But as powerful as dreams are, they remain nothing more than ideas unless they are backed by action. Action is the bridge that carries a dream from the world of imagination into the world of reality. Without it, dreams are like seeds never planted. They hold potential, but they will never grow. The mistake many people make is thinking that a dream itself is enough to change their life. They spend years visualizing, wishing, hoping, and even talking about what they want to achieve, but they never take the small, sometimes uncomfortable steps that turn wishes into accomplishments. Dreaming can inspire you, but action is what transforms you. It is in the act of doing that we build skills, gain experience, and create momentum. And momentum is what fuels progress. Think about a car at rest. It doesn't move until the engine starts and the wheels begin to turn. Dreams are the engine, but action is what turns the wheels. Action does not have to be grand to be meaningful. In fact, many people never begin because they believe their first step has to be massive. But the truth is, even the greatest journeys start with the smallest movements. A phone call, a conversation, a few minutes of practice, or a single page written can open doors that would have remained closed otherwise. Action builds confidence, and confidence fuels more action. Each step forward, no matter how small, moves you closer to your dream, while each day without action leaves you standing in the same place. There will always be resistance to action. Doubt whispers that you are not ready, fear suggests that you might fail, and procrastination convinces you to wait until tomorrow. But tomorrow is a dangerous word because it keeps postponing progress. The only day you have power over is today. By taking action today, you create results, no matter how small, and those results compound over time. It is far better to do a little imperfectly now than to wait endlessly for the perfect time. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is real. Dreams demand a price, and that price is paid in consistent effort. If you dream of being healthy, it is the daily actions, choosing better meals, exercising regularly, getting enough sleep, that will make that dream real. If you dream of wealth, it is saving, investing, learning, and working with discipline that will build it. If you dream of mastery in your field, it is hours of practice, study, and persistence that create it. The bigger the dream, the greater the demand for consistent action. There is no shortcut around the work. There is only the path of steady, intentional steps. It's important to remember that action doesn't just move you closer to your dream, it also reshapes you along the way. Each time you take a step, you grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The person you become through the process is just as important, if not more so, than the goal itself. For success is not only about achieving something, but about becoming the kind of person who is capable of sustaining and appreciating it. Dreams create a destination, but action creates the transformation necessary to reach it. Think about the countless individuals who started small, but through persistent action changed the world. Writers who began with scribbles in notebooks, entrepreneurs who began with one idea in a garage, leaders who began with a simple conversation. None of them arrived at greatness overnight. They embraced the bridge of action and walked it step by step, day by day, until their vision became reality. So if you have a dream, do not let it die in the prison of imagination. Let it breathe by taking action. Begin today, no matter how small the step may be. Because when you act, you create momentum, and when you create momentum, you move from dreaming about life to actually living it. Remember, action bridges dreams and reality, and it is the only way to turn what is possible into what is real. When we think of transformation, we often imagine a sudden breakthrough, a dramatic shift, a moment when everything changes in an instant. And while there may be moments in life that feel like turning points, the truth is that lasting transformation rarely happens in one giant leap. Real change is the result of small, consistent steps that compound over time until the life you've created looks entirely different from the one you once lived. Consider the power of compounding. We usually hear it in the context of money, that a small amount invested wisely and left alone grows into a fortune. But compounding applies to every area of life. Knowledge compounds, habits compound, discipline compounds, and so does neglect. Every small choice we make, repeated day after day, builds momentum toward either success or failure. Let's take a simple example reading. If you decide to read 10 pages a day, it doesn't feel like much. 10 pages hardly makes you a scholar, but in a year, that adds up to over 600 pages, around a dozen good books. In 5 years, that's 60 books. And if those books are full of wisdom strategies and life lessons, you'll be a different person entirely. Not because of one big act of learning, but because of the small daily act of reading. Or think about health. One workout won't make you fit, just as one unhealthy meal won't make you sick. But over time, small choices add up. If you walk 20 minutes a day, it may not feel life-changing at first. But after a few months, your body grows stronger, your energy improves, and your mind sharpens. The same principle works in reverse. Neglect the small disciplines, and the decline becomes just as real, only this time in the wrong direction. The challenge is that small steps don't feel urgent. Because their impact isn't immediate, people underestimate their value. It's easy to skip today because nothing seems to change tomorrow. But transformation isn't about what happens tomorrow. It's about who you become over time. The danger of neglect is that it compounds just like discipline. Skipping today becomes skipping tomorrow, and soon you've built a habit of drifting. And just as success sneaks up on you after years of consistent effort, failure sneaks up on you after years of careless neglect. Small steps also teach us patience. In a world that promises instant results, the discipline of doing something small every day develops character. It forces us to trust the process. And when you trust the process, you stop worrying about the harvest because you know the seeds are in the ground. You don't need to demand results today because you're confident the future will reward your consistency. Transformation doesn't require brilliance. It doesn't require extraordinary talent or resources. What it requires is the humility to take one step at a time. Too many people are waiting for a massive change before they begin, when in truth, the massive change will only arrive after many small beginnings. Every great athlete started with a single practice, every great business with a single idea written down, every great musician with a single note. The secret is to choose steps that align with your vision. Not every step matters. If you want to build health, then your small steps must be in the direction of exercise and good nutrition. If you want wealth, your steps must be saving, investing, and learning. If you want wisdom, your steps must be study, reflection, and conversation with the wise. Small steps transform when they are consistent and directed toward a meaningful goal. And here's the beautiful part: transformation sneaks up on you. You wake up one day and realize you're stronger, wiser, wealthier, healthier, not because of a sudden miracle, but because of the hundreds of days where you did what others ignored. The small steps others dismissed are the very steps that changed your life. So don't despise the small beginnings. Celebrate them. Take joy in knowing that every book you read, every workout you finish, every dollar you save, every moment you spend learning is a seed planted for your future. Do not measure your success by what happened today, but by the direction of your steps. Because small steps, faithfully repeated, don't just create progress, they create transformation. Consistency is more powerful than perfection because it is the quiet force that turns ordinary actions into extraordinary results. Too many people wait for the perfect time, the perfect plan, or the perfect conditions before they begin. But in waiting, they waste valuable time that could have been invested in simple, consistent effort. Perfection is an illusion, a standard so high it often paralyzes rather than propels. Consistency, on the other hand, is achievable for everyone. It doesn't demand that you get everything right all at once. It simply asks you to keep showing up day after day, even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. Think about how nature works. Rivers don't carve valleys overnight. They do it through steady, persistent flow. The water may not seem powerful in one moment, but over years, even centuries, its consistency shapes mountains and landscapes. That is the power of steady effort. It's the same in human life. You don't have to be perfect to succeed, but you do have to be consistent. Reading a few pages every day compounds into a library of wisdom. Saving a small amount each week grows into financial security. Exercising regularly, even for just 15 minutes, builds strength and health over time. The results of consistency are invisible in the beginning, but undeniable in the end. Perfectionism, however, tricks people into thinking they need flawless execution before they can even begin. It whispers that if you cannot do something perfectly, it isn't worth doing at all. But that mindset destroys progress. Waiting until you have the perfect conditions means you may never start. Perfection can make people quit too soon because the first setback convinces them they are not cut out for success. But consistency embraces imperfection. It says, even if today wasn't my best, I'll show up tomorrow. And that is where growth happens, not in perfection, but in persistence. Consider the story of someone who wants to become a writer. If they wait until they can write a masterpiece, they will probably never put pen to paper. But if they commit to writing a page every day, even if it's messy and imperfect, after a year they will have 65 pages. That's a book. What seemed impossible at the beginning becomes inevitable through consistency. The same principle applies to fitness, relationships, business, or personal growth. Success rarely comes in one giant leap. It comes from 1,000 small, deliberate steps repeated faithfully over time. Consistency is powerful because it builds trust with yourself and with others. When you consistently show up, you prove to yourself that you are reliable, that you can keep promises you make to yourself. This builds confidence and momentum. Others begin to trust you as well because they know you are steady and dependable. Opportunities often flow to those who are consistent, not necessarily to those who are the most talented. Talent may open a door, but consistency keeps it open. Think of the difference between a flash of lightning and the steady light of the sun. Lightning is impressive, dramatic, and powerful, but it lasts only a moment. The sun, on the other hand, rises every day, and its consistent presence sustains life on earth. Many people want to be like lightning, brilliant and perfect for a moment, but they burn out quickly. Few choose to be like the sun, faithful, steady, and life-giving. Yet it is the sun's consistency that truly matters. When you embrace consistency over perfection, you allow yourself the freedom to improve. Each day becomes an opportunity to learn, to refine, to get just a little better. Over time, those small improvements compound into mastery. No expert was born with perfect skill. They built it through repetition, trial, error, and steady effort. Perfection is not the starting point, but the product of consistency. Think of success like building a house. You don't wake up one morning and see it fully constructed out of thin air. First, there's a vision, then a blueprint, then the laying of one brick, then another, then the frame, the roof, and the finishing touches. Each stage looks incomplete on its own, but over time, those small stages add up to something strong and lasting. Life works the same way. You don't achieve greatness by one big action, but by a series of small, disciplined steps that compound into something extraordinary. The challenge is that people get impatient. They want the reward without the routine, the applause without the preparation, the harvest without the planting. But success doesn't work on shortcuts. The person who stays consistent with their small efforts eventually surpasses the person who chases quick results. Reading 10 pages a day may not look impressive, but over a year, that's thousands of pages and dozens of books. Saving a few dollars each day may seem small, but over years it becomes financial independence. Practicing a skill for 30 minutes daily may look ordinary, but in time it turns into mastery. What looks insignificant in the moment becomes powerful in the long run. The process of success also requires patience and persistence because the results don't show up immediately. This is why so many people quit. They plant the seeds but abandon the field because they don't see a harvest the next morning. Yet the farmer knows that growth takes time. Success follows the same principle. You must be willing to persist through the invisible stage, the time when you are working hard, but the results are not yet visible to the world. That's the season where character is built, discipline is formed, and faith is tested. Another truth about success as a process is that it involves failure and correction. No one reaches success without mistakes. The road to achievement is filled with missteps, but those who succeed are the ones who learn, adjust, and keep moving. A failed attempt isn't the end of the process, it is part of it. Each mistake teaches you something valuable, sharpens your approach, and prepares you for the next level. Without the process of trial and error, the final success would have no foundation to stand on. It's also important to understand that success is not something you chase directly. It is something you attract by the person you become. The process of showing up daily, practicing discipline, and working toward your goals changes you. It builds strength, resilience, and character. The person who goes through the process is not the same as the person who started the journey, and it is this growth, this transformation, that makes success possible and sustainable. When people say someone is an overnight success, what they don't see is the years of preparation behind the curtain. The countless hours of practice, the failures that weren't public, the sacrifices made, the consistent small disciplines that looked invisible at the time. Overnight success is simply the day the world notices what you've been working on for years. The event is visible, but the process is hidden. And it is the hidden process that makes the visible moment possible. So if you want to achieve something significant, shift your mindset. Stop asking, when will I arrive? And start asking, what step can I take today? Stop waiting for one big breakthrough and start embracing the power of small, consistent actions. Build your life brick by brick, habit by habit, discipline by discipline. Success will not arrive in a single day, but it will arrive through the process of your days. The real reward of success is not just the achievement itself, but who you become along the way. When you understand that success is a process, not an event, you learn to value the journey, not just the destination. You gain patience, discipline, and strength. And in the end, when the results finally appear, you'll know the truth. It wasn't luck. It wasn't a single moment. It was the process, your process, that created the life you dreamed of. Start now, start small. Those words carry a powerful truth. Yet many overlook them in pursuit of their dreams. Too often, people delay action because they believe they must first gather all the resources, have a perfect plan, or wait for the right time. But waiting has a cost. The days pass, opportunities slip by, and the dream that once burned brightly slowly fades into regret. The truth is, you don't need to have everything figured out before you begin. You only need the courage to take one step forward, no matter how small it may seem. When you look at any great achievement, whether in business, art, science, or personal growth, you'll find it never started with perfection. It began with someone daring to start where they were, with what they had. The tallest skyscraper began with a single shovel of dirt. The greatest books began with a single sentence. The most successful businesses began with one small idea, often scribbled on a piece of paper. The lesson is clear. Progress is built one small action at a time, and greatness is nothing more than small actions multiplied consistently over the years. Many people underestimate the power of small beginnings. They think saving a small amount of money is meaningless, or that reading a few pages of a book won't make a difference, or that practicing for 15 minutes is too little to matter. But these small acts, when repeated daily, create momentum. Like drops of water filling a bucket, small actions accumulate until they create a result that seems extraordinary. What is ordinary when done daily becomes extraordinary in time. Start now, not tomorrow. Tomorrow is a promise that may never come. Every delay makes the journey harder because it reinforces the habit of postponement. Action, even imperfect action, builds confidence. Each step you take today makes the next step easier. Waiting for perfect conditions is a mistake because there will never be a time when everything aligns perfectly. If you wait for all the lights to turn green before leaving your driveway, you will never leave home. You simply begin the journey, trusting that as you go, the path will unfold and the lights will turn green one by one. There is also a magic in starting small. Small beginnings allow you to grow without being overwhelmed. They give you space to learn, adjust, and improve. Imagine trying to run a marathon without training a single day. You'd collapse in exhaustion. But if you start with 1 mile, then 2, then 3, your body adapts and strengthens. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable. The same principle applies to dreams. By starting small, you build skills, habits, and confidence that prepare you for larger challenges. Think of the bamboo tree. For years after planting the seed, nothing seems to happen. You water it, nurture it, protect it, and still no visible growth appears. But beneath the soil, the roots are spreading wide and deep, building a foundation strong enough to support its future growth. Then, in a short span of time, it shoots up rapidly, growing feet in just weeks. That is the power of starting small and being consistent. Your efforts may not show results immediately, but with patience and persistence, growth becomes inevitable. Starting small also removes the fear of failure. When the steps are small, the risks are small, and the lessons are easier to learn. You don't have to leap across the entire canyon. You only need to take one step across a stone. And when you stumble, the fall isn't devastating. It's just another lesson that prepares you for the journey ahead. Each failure becomes feedback, and feedback is the raw material of growth. So what dream is inside you right now? What vision burns quietly in your heart? Don't dismiss it because it looks too big or too distant. Don't wait until you have all the answers. Begin with the resources at your disposal today. Read a page, make a call, save $1, take a step. It may not look like much, but it is the seed of something greater. If you water it daily with action and belief, it will grow into the dream you once imagined. Life rewards those who begin, not those who wait. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't often comes down to one thing: the willingness to take the first step. So, start now. Start small, trust the process. With time, patience, and persistence, the small step you take today will become the giant leap that transforms your life tomorrow.